From the center of historic Exeter, New Hampshire, welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show, brought to you by Wiggle. Coming up this week, why cyclists are the toughest athletes, even though we might not appear to be, and conversely, why Roubaix is not as tough as we might have thought. Plus, this week, it's a very international show. John Cunnings is over at the UAE Tour.
And I'm here in the United Arab Emirates, and specifically right now in Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina circuit.
Whilst nearby in Oman, Si and Ollie are working their socks off.
You're the fastest shark in the world, can swim at 68 kilometres per hour.
I did not know that. What was that?
The Mako shark.
The Mako. Do you know that the most dangerous shark, statistically, is the bull shark? It swims up freshwater rivers and eats caimans.
This week in the world of cycling, we learned that some of the bodges that you send us over are in fact genuinely rideable. This is a video taken by the Movistar team at the recent Tour Colombia. What I want to know though, is how on earth he dismounts when he's finished riding. We also learnt this week that Fernando Gaviria could momentarily lay claim to being the fastest man on two wheels. Here he is winning stage 2 of the UAE Tour, ahead of the likes of Viviani, Ewan, Cavendish, Kittel and Bennett. And finally this week, we learnt that Si and Ollie are very good at talking about suffering when they're sat in 28-degree heat with amazing views nearby. Over to you guys.
Well, thanks, Dan. It does seem slightly ironic that we're talking about why cyclists are so good at suffering, whilst sat on a pristine white sandy beach, lapped by turquoise waters and bathed in the winter warmth of the Oman sunshine. But nevertheless, inspiration can strike anywhere, and this week we've been inspired by a great article on the BBC website that explores the link between cycling and suffering.
Yeah, you don't have to go and suffer when you ride a bike, but many of us actively seek it out, and that's got us thinking that perhaps cyclists are the best at suffering of all athletes. We endure the most, and perhaps that means we have the highest pain thresholds, although admittedly, we may be a bit biased.
I thought it was the top.
Yeah, we might just be trying to reassert ourselves after a few humiliating weeks trying to do push-ups. And there are some sports as well that you can't even push harder, can you? Like golf. Try harder at golf and you tend to get significantly worse, I find. Whereas in cycling, that reward can be instantaneous, can't it? That thrill of the speed, or indeed slightly delayed, where you get a thrilling descent after a brutal climb. To the extent, I think, that actually suffering as a path to enjoyment is hardwired into us right from the moment we start riding bikes.
Yeah, it can spiral out of control though, because I mean, most sort of team sports like football and rugby, they don't last beyond 2 hours, and well, there's no extreme example of football that's like a 9-hour game, is there? And although cricket can last 5 days in a test match, it's not exactly as grueling as a stage race.
In cycling, however, the only limit is the one that you put on yourself. Extreme example being your Everesting. I mean, it wasn't even a nice ride, was it? Maybe one time up that climb would have been nice, but not riding the same climb 12 times over the course of 15 hours. Why did you even do it?
Well, it was a really beautiful climb, but that wasn't the main reason. It was because I wanted to find my absolute physical limit, what I was capable of, and I feel I succeeded in that. I feel I did do that, and there was something immensely satisfying about that.
Yeah, there is actually a point here in that in cycling you can find your physical limit because you just keep rolling along, going slightly slower, but still inflicting pain on yourself, whereas running, you'd probably still be injured 7 months on, and swimming, you'd just have sunk.
Well, you'd drown, wouldn't you?
Without a trace, yeah.
Big one for me, aerodynamics.
You mean like suffering through conversations about aerodynamics?
Although my aerodynamic chart might be insufferable at times, bear with me, okay? So as cyclists, we suffer more because we know that it's going to be harder if you get dropped and you have to ride on your own rather than getting the slipstreaming benefit of the pack. And I am talking from experience of getting dropped a lot. So yeah, I mean, we're willing to push ourselves to the absolute limit in order to hold the wheel so that, well, it'll make it easier than having to ride on our own. You know, if you push yourself over that one little climb, it's going to get easier, or if you hold on in the crosswind section, it'll it'll be better in the long run.
That is very true, actually. And even though I'm all too familiar with that, I was still shocked that day I got to spend in a Mavic neutral service car at the Tour de France, seeing the world's best bike riders suffering so badly on the very first climb of the day, because if they got dropped, their race would be over. You know, in that case, it was their livelihood they were fighting for. But that kind of attitude, I think it infects all of us, doesn't it? It always feels like it's important to hold the wheel.
Oh, definitely. But I think lastly, the big point we need to talk about regarding suffering is crashing.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, crashing in cycling, road rash is pretty unique to cycling, but there are many other horrific injuries that you can get in other sports, and cycling certainly doesn't have a monopoly on danger, but perhaps cycling celebrates suffering through injuries more than other sports.
Yeah, Lawson Craddock, last year's Tour de France, spent the whole race riding with a fractured collarbone. Dead last. I mean, he did raise a ton of money for charity, but even so, it was like the Tour de France wasn't hard enough. He had to do it with a broken bone.
Yeah, bonkers. But also, Geraint Thomas, before that in the Tour de France, finishing the Tour with a broken pelvis.
Yeah.
And then before that was Tyler Hamilton as
Finished
well.
fourth with a broken collarbone.
Yeah, and, well, it's countless others, I guess, as well. I mean,
There are indeed. Now, I think, personally, there's probably a question mark over whether or not we should be celebrating people riding through horrific injuries where there's no good. I mean, perhaps they should probably have just gone home and had a nice holiday. But even so, I think it shows, doesn't it, that suffering is so hardwired into us that actually we do it even when there is 0 point, and we celebrate other people doing it even when there's nothing to be gained from it.
yeah, bonkers. I tell you what, let us know in the comments section down below if you can think of a sport where there is more suffering than cycling, and let us know, if you like to suffer on the bike, and if you think there's a sport where there's suffering, but it's also still enjoyable.
No, I think we've got a monopoly on that one.
Yeah.
Speaking of suffering, though, Lloydie has been doing a fair bit of it himself of late.
Yeah, hey, do you want a date?
I thought you'd never ask, Ollie. Thanks, mate.
You're not wrong there, guys. In fact, I started last week by failing to finish a session because I was suffering so much. Week 6. Today's session, second of the week, is called 9 Hammers. I've been reading up on this from people that have done it, and it sounds horrific. So it's safe to say I'm a little bit nervous and a little bit apprehensive because it sounds hard just to get through to the end. So I'll give it my all and hope for the best. I've put it down to 90% intensity, which effectively brings my FTP back down to 248 from the 275 I'd put it up to. See if I can finish the session like this. I knew before that last one that I was ready for fail. I don't know if it's a mental thing, but that's it, I'm calling it a day. I've done 7 of the 9. 4.5 of them at 100%, 2.5 at 90% intensity. And I just know I'm not going to get through the last 2 hammers. I ended up being the nail. Only the second session that I failed to complete properly, but never feels good. Never feels good. Especially after a test that I was really pleased with last week. Still, rest day tomorrow, then onwards. I'm outside. It's 15 degrees and sunny here in New Forest, so I thought I could not sit inside in my dingy garage and do the session there. Well, I can take advantage of this. 2/3 of the way through the chores. That session was just plain grim. Now, my personal relationship with suffering is something I've been contemplating quite a lot over the last few weeks. Main question always being, could I have pushed myself harder if I was mentally stronger? Now, when I was racing full time, I found suffering not easy, but doable, because I was willing to suffer in races and therefore willing to suffer in training to prepare for those races. But now, apart from my own personal goal of reaching 300 watts at the end of this 10 weeks, I haven't got an awful lot to suffer for. And when you haven't got a lot to suffer for, it's quite hard to dig deep when you're training. Now, one thing that has been keeping me going is the fact that if I don't do this, you're all going to know about it. So from that point of view, I was very relieved that the last 2 sessions of the week went well. If you've got any questions that you would like to ask me ready for next week's vlog, then please leave them in the comment section just down below. Now, whilst we're on the subject of riding outside in beautiful weather, I can now officially announce that our first GCN event in Mallorca in March is sold out. We've got people there from as far afield as Canada and China, and they'll be getting expert advice from people like nutritionist Nigel Mitchell and coach Neil Henderson, who's my personal coach at the moment, and I'll be having words with him about how much I'm suffering. Don't worry if you've missed out this time around though, because we'll be shortly announcing details of the forthcoming GCN event. And if you'd like to make sure you get those details first, head over to gcnevents.co and sign up to the newsletter. Next up, it's GCN's weekly inspiration, which, as you all know, is your chance to win one of 3 voucher amounts from Wiggle. If you win, you'll get £100 of vouchers to spend on their online shop. Second place nets £75 and third will get £50. 2 ways to enter: the hashtag GCN Inspiration over on Instagram, or there's a link below to our uploader and you can use that too. Without further ado, I'm going to announce the 3rd place winner, and it is Vegan Dave over in Clovis, California. He says, finally a break from the rain. Glad to see from the state of that bike that it looks no drier over in California than it currently does here in the UK. But loving the look of those hills there in the background too. Must have some very good riding over there. Second place today goes to Lee, who's been over in the mountains of Tenerife with a bunch of cycling mates. Lee took this picture whilst riding up to the little village of Masca in those volcanic mountains, taking a break to enjoy moments with friends. And that's a shot that makes me really look forward even more to our first event over in Mallorca. I'm looking forward to riding some hills with my newfound fitness. But the winner this week, and the winner of £100 of Wiggle vouchers, is Tony Silver, who posted this up to Instagram. Now, there's not much description. In fact, there's no description to this photo, but I loved it. I'm a sucker for a tree-lined road, whether it's gravel or not, and that shot makes me want to get out and ride, which is the whole point of this segment in the show. And don't forget to keep submitting your photos. There'll be 3 more winners this time next week.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Hey, Si, don't you think it's kind of weird that the tide's coming in, but the bikes are also coming in?
Good observation, Ollie. We will start cycling shorts with some frankly shocking news. Paris-Roubaix is not as hard as everyone thought. It turns out the infamous Forest of Arenberg is not actually 2,400 metres long after all.
Yeah, the organisers, ASO, had never actually measured it before, and upon doing so, found that it's, well, only 2,300 metres long.
Yeah, next thing they're going to be telling us that Alpe d'Huez is actually only 13 kilometres at 8.1% as opposed to 13.2.
You know, I'd rather not know.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, perhaps that's why Vuelta winner Simon Yates has declared that he's not interested in riding the Tour de France. He must already know.
That's it. Good point. Hey, some more bad news actually now, this time in the ongoing Geraint Thomas participation in the Giro d'Italia saga. Bad news in the sense that the saga might now actually be over, because he reiterated to Cycling News that the Giro is definitely not on his race programme for this year, and he is defending his Tour de France title. So to maybe, I'll have to admit that perhaps he's not going to be there.
Yeah, some more serious news coming out of Team Sky this week. Bad news, in fact, because Ben Swift suffered a serious crash out training in Tenerife and actually ruptured his spleen and has spent some time in intensive care. He's out now, but I think we all wish Ben a swift recovery.
Nicely done, Ollie. Right, now we mentioned a few weeks back that the inaugural Zwift Super League professional race had taken place, and it was the women's peloton turn last week, with the Danish national Zwift champion Louise Huback taking a sprint victory from a reduced bunch. Actually, she dispatched the might of the Canyon SRAM team with a lot of help, in fact, from her Zwift All-Stars team. You wouldn't bet against a team that called itself the All-Stars, would you?
What about the GCN All-Stars?
I'd bet against us. Yeah, all right, in that instance.
Right, any budding racer, whether that's in esports or the real world, should pay attention to this piece of research from Canberra University, published in Frontiers in Physiology, no less.
Oh yeah. Sounds like something right up our street, Ollie.
I've got
that
a couple of copies of it on the boat for the trip back.
Well, I bet you have. Anyway, the research showed that what you do in the minutes preceding your finish line sprint has a significant effect on your ultimate power output. A 6% reduction, in fact, they measured in people that had had a variable effort, so one including some real hard efforts already, compared to those that had done a steady state effort. So 6%, worth bearing in mind, I think, isn't it, for any budding racer?
Yeah. What's 6% of nothing, though? Back to Lloydie in the studio.
Yes, back to me to talk about e-bikes and mature riders, quickly becoming two of my specialist subjects. This is a study that was recently published by the guys and girls over at Cycle Boom, which found that the participants of the study, all aged between 50 and 83, had a greater improvement in brain function and mental well-being if they used an e-bike over a conventional pedal-powered bike. And what this appears to come down to was the increase in confidence that having an e-bike gave them in terms of the fact they could get out and about on a bike without putting in too much physical effort, because it appears also that the prospect of a great amount of physical effort was putting them off going out on the bike in the first place. Thanks to Tim Mayer for the heads up on that one. I'm going to finish Cycling Shorts though with another one of my specialist subjects, which is beer. This is an article that I was steered towards by Tool Paul over on Runner's World. So, New Balance have just opened a pub called The Runaway, and they've also teamed up with Strava to create 4 challenges, and if an athlete joins one of those challenges, the miles that they log whilst out running can be redeemed at the pub to get pints. How cool is that? When's somebody going to do the cycling version of that, is my question. Before I finish though, don't ever drink and ride. Which also actually reminds me that I caused quite a stir last week when I said that you couldn't smoke cannabis and then go out riding.
Can you ride bikes and smoke dope? Probably not, I would imagine.
No. Loads of comments, including some requests for GCN Does Science, but also this one, which came in from James Dion, who claims to have even Everested after smoking cannabis, saying it helps people with replacement body parts such as hips or pelvis. Another example then of how little I know.
Oh mate, this is going to be amazing. Best Instagram post ever. Graham Gold. Definitely going to get a super like with this.
Seems to have left Ollie.
Hey guys, wait!
Oh well.
Wait guys! Wait!
It's been quite a while since we've had a giveaway here on the GCN Show, but we've got one for you this week, courtesy of the people over at Trek. 4 lucky winners will get their hands on one of their safety packages, within which you will find either a men's or a women's Trek Segafredo High-Vis training jersey and one of their daytime light sets, so that being the Iron 200 RT front light along with the Flare RT rear light. All the details on how you enter, as ever, in a link in the description just below this video, and I wish you all the best of luck.
We're back on dry land now.
Oh yeah.
For Hack/Podge.
Yeah, before we get going, we should probably explain what we're doing in Oman, shouldn't we? Ollie is tackling the Hope Route 3-day event at the end of this week. And between now and then, we're basically doing some riding, aren't we? Up in the mountains.
Yeah,
so
can't wait.
Should be some cracking videos coming up. Right. Without further ado, last week Dan and I were lamenting a lack of people cleaning their bikes in their showers pictures on Hacklepodge. Anyway, Peter Wyatt has kindly submitted one. So there is a classic example. A classic bodge, Peter, if we're honest.
In emergency situations, it's a hack, I'm saying.
Bold shout from Ollie, yeah, but got a point.
It's a bodge. Next, we have Steve Thomas, who said that, well, he accidentally took the wrong inner tube out on a ride, so he quickly decided to label up all his existing inner tubes and library them into their sizes and valve lengths and everything, and well, look at that for organisation.
Fantastic. Nothing leaves you feeling more like an idiot than riding deep section wheels and not having a long enough valve on them.
Yeah.
No one's going to help you out the side of the road,
I mean,
are you?
It's a hack, I'd say that.
Yeah, fair play, Steve. Good work there.
Nice.
Jason, this is a clear hack. I'm going to state it right from the off. This is a travel hack. So some bike bags leave your handlebars a little bit susceptible to getting squished, particularly your levers. So there is a piece of plywood, exactly the right size and shape, that he's loosely zip tied onto his handlebars to take the brunt of any impacts, leaving his shifters completely unaffected.
It's a very simple and brilliant idea.
I know,
like it.
fantastic.
Good that. Next we have Steve. from Kent. Now, Steve has got an ass saver affixed to his bike to help protect his posterior from road spray, but he's also affixed a second one to protect his rear light. Check that out. What do you think of that?
A mini light ass saver. Yeah, no, I think that's probably a good point, really. I mean, your light does get covered in crap over the winter.
They do, yeah.
Diminishing its lighting ability, but
Cannings would say just use a full-length mudguard.
I'd say just reach behind and clean your light. But, you know,
I think it's a hack. I'm going hack on that one.
I'm going hack too. I think that's ingenious. Right, lastly, we've got this one from Luca Mazzola pointing out that our own Lloydie might have been guilty of a bodge in last week's GCN show. Look at that laptop stand, Dan. Hack or bodge? Well, I just wonder whether leaning your laptop on your wife's bike whilst you're trying to do a Sufferfest session is probably a bodge, isn't it? Yeah. Well, and yeah, because his TV broke, so that's definitely a bodge, isn't it? There we go. Sorry, Lloydie. If you want to submit anything to GCN Hack or Bodge, then you use the hashtag GCN Hack on Twitter or Instagram, or of course, our uploader, the link to which is in the description beneath this video.
So, big announcement, we've got 15% off all the crew jumpers and hoodies over at the shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. So head over there and get your hands on them. Yes!
We've got a bit of a tech takeover for you this week. In the absence of John and Ollie, who are both abroad, it's going to be Chris and James presenting the tech show this week. So I'll hand over to them in the tech set to let you know what's coming up.
Coming up on this week's tech show,
we have a 13-speed group set, cargo bikes, and the Bike Vault.
So stay tuned this Thursday because, well, it's going to be a good one, isn't it, Chris?
It's going to be amazing.
Yes, it is.
It's that part of the show where we have our Caption Competition, which is your weekly chance to win a GCN Camelback water bottle. You'll remember that last week's photo was this one of Chris Froome with a police officer over at the Tour Columbia. And our winner is, firm favourite in the comment section, Mr. Michael McDermott with this. Caption: if your name's not Dan, you're not coming in. Well done to you, Michael. Get in touch on Facebook with your address and we'll get this bottle out to you as soon as possible. This week's photo is this one of the Gazprom Rusvelo riders warming up, should I say, for a time trial. I will get you started. Does anyone know why we've got these things up our nose? I ear our coach nose. I know that is my worst effort by far, but I've literally been sat here for almost an hour trying to think of a caption, and that literally is the best I could do. So yes, you can feel sorry for me. I know you can do better this week. Leave your captions in the comment section down below and put me to shame.
Lasty! Lasty! Are you here? Lasty!
Comment of the week, followed by what's coming up on the channel now. Before I get on to 3 of my favourite comments from last week, thank you to all of you who left your suggestions for your favourite bike shops underneath last week's GCN show. I think we literally had almost 1,000, perhaps even more. There was also one suggestion that we should make a database of the best bike shops around the world so that you can look at it, and if you're in the vicinity, go and visit them. And that's something that we're definitely hoping to do if we find a time in the not too distant future. Right, underneath the video which we put out last week under Sneaky Ways to Beat Your Mate, it's got 2 very good comments. Firstly, from Sasha Tromser, I predict this video will become the #1 source of GCN bloopers in the future. Here's one for you.
So one good way of doing this is asking your friend an interesting question. Watch this. So Si, yeah, mate, what's your favourite geometry for a frame?
It's exactly the same thing.
What, I'm saying chain?
Chainstay.
And underneath that same video, Zed Browning put, Hank is looking positively swole next to Si. Absolute hench. I don't actually know what that means. I think it's time for me to head over to urbandictionary.com. And also underneath 10 things to keep in your saddlebag with Hank, this from Mark Rebuck. A suggestion basically, a Presta to Schrader adapter. They cost and weigh almost nothing, but allow you to pump up your tyres at any gas station. Also carry a mini pump instead of CO2 because the pump will never fail. Very good suggestions indeed, so thank you for that, Mark. So coming up on the channel this week, on Wednesday, it is how to train less and Go Faster, which is one that I'm definitely going to be watching. On Thursday, we've got our top 5 cycling trendsetters. Friday, Chris and James will be back with Ask GC Anything. Then on Saturday, we'll have John Cannings reporting in from the UAE tour, where he's been posing questions to some of the biggest name cyclists in the world. Then on Sunday, Ollie's taking a look at the Look Factory and how they go about making their pedals. Then on Monday, as ever, it'll be the GCN Racing News Show with yours truly, and Tuesday we'll be back in the set for the GCN Show, episode 321. Almost the end of the show now, but as ever, we'll finish with Extreme Corner. This week, it's Alex Volokov and friends exploring the Farwell Canyon over in British Columbia. Epic stuff. We get a lot of comments actually from you asking why it's always mountain bikers on Extreme Corner, and it's mainly down to the fact that mountain bikers do extreme far better than roadies. Right, that really is pretty much it for this week's GCN show, but you have to watch this next video if you haven't done so already. There's a team in the track world called Who What Bike who are really quite upsetting the apple cart at the moment. Ollie went up to visit them in Barbados, and you can find their full story, which is really interesting, just down here.